Hello and welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe, right here in Lagos studio. Tonight on the show, we'll be talking about the Africa Cup of Nations. Is it really as important as everyone is saying, or rather, it's really not as important as the European Championships, like the Euros, you have the Copa America, and of course, should I compare the World Cup? No. But then, a lot of talks going on how important this, the biggest showpiece in Africa is. But we in Africa know how important it is, because when you have 1.7 billion people actually viewing that tournament and having so many countries tuning in to watch, then it shows how big and how important it is. We'll be talking about that on the show tonight. And of course, it was a goal fest in the Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership on Wednesday across the country. 27 goals scored on match day 7. And of course, having 3 hat-tricks from different clubs, from Rivers Angels, you also have the ones from Remo Stars Ladies, and of course, Abia Angels right here in Lagos. And the Marys were the ones doing all the business of hat-tricks in Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership. MPFL will also get our attention. The game between Rivers United and, of course, Katsina United, that game was suspended because of heavy rain this evening. It will resume at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So if you are there, just go cheer your darling club to victory. Remo Stars still maintaining the lead in the MPFL, and of course, Shooting Stars being able to cut it up by just 9 points after that draw that they had on Wednesday. So much to look forward to on the show tonight. Yes, the ECOWAS Marathon will get our attention. It's the 50th anniversary of the ECOWAS. And of course, this year's marathon, a lot is actually going in. You're going to be having 25 kilometers, of course, the 10 kilometers, the 5 kilometers. Everyone can actually participate in that. Any prize money, yes, that's also a part of it. Yes, it's a loaded package tonight. Austin will join me much later on the show. But right here in the studio, Damilola Onifade is already seated and ready to roll.
Cecilia, good evening. It's good to be here. And particularly on the day that you said the Marys decided to get all the goals in the MPFL. On a single day, we had 27 goals. Fantastic. And we've had a good first half of the season in the NWFL. And it's good to say it finally, that the men are also not doing badly. The MPFL, we've had a good run this season as well.
Yeah, but we had 27 goals in one day. But I think Austin has been keeping tab of most of the goals that have been scored. He's going to answer that question when he joins us on the show tonight. But yes, we'll be talking about the Africa Cup of Nations, the importance of this to the world, to African players, and of course to those who actually enjoy watching the game. A lot of issues, you know, has been trending concerning when you have a former player who, well, he doesn't know what it means to actually play in the Nations Cup. Yeah, I'm taking the words of one of African greats. Actually, kind of, was he really dissing it or just airing his own opinion? We will be joined by Collins Okinyo, who is a former media expert for CAF. He will be joining us. Yeah, he's already here, you know, waiting to actually chip in on this controversy that has been going on. Collins, it's good to have you join me on the show tonight.
It's a pleasure having you, and it's nice to be here again. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Collins is joining us all the way from Kenya. So Collins, let's get into this particular issue. Maybe it's really this trending topic that maybe AFCON is being disrespected. But before you know, I get you to start talking on this topic, I'll have to read something that has to do with, well, you know him, a former Liverpool defender, Carragher, talking about the issue of the Africa Cup of Nations. Yeah, this is what he says. He says Mo Salah is at a disadvantage playing for Egypt in terms of him winning the Ballon d'Or. And then he went on to say that if Salah had an average season at Liverpool but won the AFCON and was MVP, I don't think he would win the Ballon d'Or. It's been happening, so I'm not surprised by this. And he went further to say that because I don't think AFCON carries the weight of other tournaments. Now, this is the line that everyone is actually reacting to. He went further to say, I know Mane came second a few years back after winning the tournament, but that alone wouldn't have got him to that position. It was Liverpool being 2 games away from a quadruple that played a big role also. And then after all the whole saga, Of course, then he now tried to clarify what he was trying to say. He says, it's not disrespectful if I feel the World Cup, the Euros, the Copa America are better tournaments. It's just my opinion when I watch them. That's his own opinion. Saying it wasn't a major competition was clumsy, but I think most people watching could understand the point I was trying to make. Now, this is coming from Jamie Carragher, former Liverpool defender. All right, Collins, this is where you come in terms of this. Do you actually agree with him? You know, after the whole submission, starting from Mo Salah, do you agree with him in everything he said?
No, there's nothing to agree with him, first of all. You know, basically this comes from someone who has not actually won a major tournament, even if you look at his record. So disrespects the African Cup of Nations is kind of absurd and ironical, because this is one of the biggest tournaments that has produced some of the best players in Africa. And these players have gone on to conquer Europe. You know, look at the Mo Salah they're talking about. He's one of the best players and he's been there, the African Cup of Nations. So for people like Jamie Carragher to speak, I think they don't know the impact of the AFCON. And I remember you said 1.7 billion eyeballs is not something of a joke. That clearly means that there's something substantial about this great premier tournament that you have in Africa that now they want to push to 4 years. But this has been one of the great things that have been given to us, because where we have seen people like Okocha, you know, coming from, you know, it's rare for people to, you know, people like El Hadji Diop. So someone like Carragher, I think he has some European sentiments that he wants to favor him, but African football, it plays a huge part in even making, you know, that Premier League to be what it is right now. So I think that was out of context, and it's not something that we should really listen to, but we've always been proving to them that Africans are premier and part of the football world.
Yeah. Can we pick something that he said?
And such it's unfortunate because someone like El Hadji Diop, yeah, it's okay.
Okay, can we pick something from what he said when he says Mo Salah is at a disadvantage playing for Egypt because he may not be able to win the Ballon d'Or because the Nations Cup is not taken into consideration when awards are being given to players? Do you really agree with that? Because that's actually what has been going on over the years.
No, that point is kind of very valid. Because, you know, if you were considering the African players in regards to the African Cup of Nations, then a lot of our African players would have got it. But you see, look at someone like your player that won the African Cup of Player. Where was he given? So on that particular point, I think he has something that we as Africans really have to look. Do they really consider African Cup of Nations, as he's saying, or they only look at the European football? Because most of the time, we look at the people who have won this Ballon d'Or. They have only played the UEFA Champions League, but what happens to Africa? So on that, I would like to agree with him, because there are points that I really do. The people that are involved with these choices have to really come and explain to us what do they really think about the African Cup of Nations. So I think that one, there's a point on that, exactly what he's saying.
Don't you think maybe CAF is actually responsible for this disrespect that all of us are perceiving concerning the Africa Cup of Nations? For instance, you can't really say if we are going to be having it in January or February until the host nation will tell you this is when they want to host it. Whenever you have it being played in the northern part of Africa, I mean, it changes from the usual time that we love, the January and the January, February that we love so much. It goes in the summer. Don't you think maybe that's the reason this disrespect is so much? Because when you have a tournament, you can't say at a particular time when it will be holding. Sometimes when it's supposed to hold a particular year, they move it to the next year. And if you check other championships across the world, except the pandemic that happened, most tournaments, when they say Euros is 2025, is that 2025 they're hosting it? They don't move it to the next year. So we have us having AFCON 2021 in 2022.
No, I think your point is very clear. And that, for me, I would really want to agree with that, because Africa, and especially CAF, CAF have to blame themselves. In football, if you don't have consistency, You keep on moving it from January. Another moment is in June. This year we're going to be playing AFCON in December. You see, it affects the schedule of the entire world in regards to this planning. But you see now, Africa, the problem that we really have right now is that FIFA is controlling everything that you're doing in regards to calendar. Because right now they want to accommodate the FIFA Club World Cup. So when they want to accommodate the FIFA Club World Cup, it means they have to push the AFCON. So, for those major teams, they feel that this is also affecting them. So for us, Africa, if also you want to regain that respect, we have to have consistency in timing. Because we cannot be changing tournaments all the time. We don't know even which time we should be having it. But we only wait for FIFA to come and give us the details. I think that one is a problem we have, and Africa must start managing itself. This was never the case. But in the past 3 years, there's been a lot of inconsistency. That's why this kind of disrespect comes in.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Okay, Damilola, let me quickly come to you on this. I mean, you've just mentioned that, maybe disrespect, had to do with, we not having a consistent calendar. Do you agree with that? And also, what Jamie Carragher says that Mo Salah, as long as he's playing for Egypt, I mean, he may not be able to win Ballon d'Or, except, Liverpool get to win the Champions League and everything. Even if he wins the Nations Cup and Liverpool doesn't, he may not get to win that because AFCON is not as important as, Euros and Copa America and the like.
Cecilia, you might be surprised the way I will go on this conversation.
No, I mean, I want different opinion, really.
Sometimes when someone else tells you the truth, it hits harder, and you might see a bit of a pushback. But the reality is, whatever Garaga said is not particularly new. Let's look at even the African Footballer of the Year award. We've seen players win it before because of what they do for their clubs in Europe. I mean, I can mention names: Kanute, Adebayo. For a long time, even a couple of the ones that they Drogba, Yaya Toure won. What were they doing for their national team at those times? So even Africa has not positioned, CAF now, has not positioned the AFCON enough for you to get that kind of appeal. Our players are doing fantastically well. Over the last 3-4 editions, we've had a beautiful tournament, but CAF has not positioned it. You said it. We've had a situation where you're not even sure whether the AFCON now is a winter or a summer tournament. If you permit me to use that word, whether it's a January, February, or whether it's a June, July tournament. For a long time, we used to know it's January. Now we are doing December, January. So you're not even sure. And that comes with a lot of things. I agree with him to a large extent. I mean, a lot of people will tell you.
So you're not throwing shades on Carragher from what he said?
I'm not. He was careless. I basically say he was careless because I don't think as an individual you can run across a whole continent and run your mouth anyhow. He was careless. But if you and I have said it, it will have sounded a bit more acceptable. But because he said it, that's why we consider it disrespectful. And because he never played, I mean, we thought
he never won a major tournament.
He never won. What did he do? And so he can say that. So he doesn't know what it feels like if a Salah wins the AFCON. He does not know the size of it and how it means to the young man to so large extent. So, but I want to ignore him. I want to look at the fact that what has CAF done to what should be his own flagship tournament. If you position it adequately, then it will be carried as such across the world.
Yeah, Austin, you're joining in now. You're chipping in right here.
What a great things to you, Cecilia, and of course, everyone joining us on the show. Quickly, let me get into the conversation and take it from the local angle here in the United Kingdom. Quite a number of persons have come for Jamie for a statement on the Africa Cup of Nations. Sometimes when you talk and you are at a particular reading, you just go boom, 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 particularly as a pundit. So I think he didn't land properly. He started so well talking about Salah and what he has done for Liverpool, and if he can be considered one of the Liverpool greats with his achievements so far. And then he came to that Ballon d'Or. And let's be sincere. Yes, I do not endorse his disrespect for the AFCON, but if we've got persons who are voting, and you've got maybe a player from, let's say you have Kevin De Bruyne, you have Haaland, and they win the Euros or maybe the World Cup, and you have Mo Salah, who did everything he did for Liverpool and won the AFCON, the people voting, how would they look at the AFCON and say, okay, he won the AFCON, we're going to give it to him? I think that's where, Jamie was trying to come from. But it's just another opportunity for us to reflect, particularly football administrators in Nigeria, give the competition some reputation. Brand the competition in a way, because the difference between the Euros, the Copa America, and other continental events and the AFCON is branding, is exposure. is acceptability. I like the way ex-players like Michael Richards, Wrighty, even Alan Shearer, they've come out to say, look, the AFCON is a big tournament, and they respect it. I think I would take the odds over what Jamie has said. But let's look inwards, you know. If you're expecting a visitor, you're going to keep your house in order. For people to respect the AFCON from the outside, we must do things that will make it look beautiful. If we want people to give it acceptability, then we must do the right things. We're talking in 2025 how we cannot host the CHAN because of infrastructure. As basic as one of the needs you need for football, infrastructure is still a problem, you know. So that's the reawakening I get out of this, you know, but comes down to Jamie for not controlling, you know, the way he talked about it, for not being in charge of his tongue, and you know, how to control the narrative. Mo Salah is already a fantastic Liverpool legend as it is. Don't bring the AFCON into perspective. I know we've made the game look like it's all about winning. But yes, why Jamie takes that, CAF, put your hands on your cheek, ask yourself questions, and say, what are we doing to make sure that this AFCON gets international reputation and acceptability, Cecilia?
I think we already have that. It's just that some players are looking at it from a different angle when you watch and see some of the things that usually happen. Collins, I think we'll come to you here. Austin make a valid point about infrastructure, and sometimes CAF is not really looking into certain things to actually put everything in place to have that international recognition. Do you think we still don't have it? And what can CAF do differently? Because we just mentioned that over the years, you see players winning, you know, those players who may have won AFCON may not even get into CAF first 11. Sometimes you see that. You see the MVP of CAF, who happens to be, you know, Nigeria's captain, Nigeria's defender, William Troost Ekong. It wasn't in the first 11, he wasn't there. So we've seen issues like that. So how do you actually harness these things and understand that players who won the AFCON are giving more, I don't know how to, I'm trying to look for a particular word, how to describe it, that are giving more, a kind of more prominent than those who have won things in Europe? Because it's looking like when you don't win for your club in Europe, when you win for your club in Europe, you don't win AFCON. Most times, it goes to those players who have won things. We've seen it. Well, Togo has never won the Nations Cup, but Adebayo has won African Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's a critical point you're bringing through, because it's clear that the choices of the African Cup of Player, example, for 2024, we will say it's different, because if you look at Lookman, the performance for Nigeria and performance for his team were perfect. But you know, most of the time in Africa, even the people that vote, which journalists, some of us, you know, we concentrate more on European football. So that is something that has to change in Africa and our mentality. Though we have to accept that the African Cup of Nations is recognized well.
Collins, how can
1.7 billion people?
Yeah, Collins, I get what you're saying, particularly with the media. I saw the way African football legends, you know, have been responding to Jamie, saying that the AFCON has got a big reputation. The AFCON is a fantastic tournament. What role can they also play? Because if you have these guys give, you know, the sort of attention they've given to the AFCON these few days that Jamie Carragher made that statement, don't you think the AFCON will make a big difference?
I think you have a point, because they've come all together in support of AFCON. I wish they'd be doing this regularly, but that has not been done regularly. That's why the disrespect is coming in. But if they can be doing it regularly, then people will see the effect. But most of the legends and the people that were there before, they never talk about it. So people regard it as, because even if you look at their social media, most of the time they talk about the European football. So it's been a problem to us, and that's when you have to change our mentality, because if our own people don't talk about our tournament, well, how is it going to be recognized? So we have to change our mentality and basically look at how we can make it even bigger, because it's us to advocate for it. Someone like me, example, I'm a journalist, but I'm an African journalist, because that is what I have to keep on pressing for. But you know, some of us are African journalists, but you know, we push in the European narrative. So we all have to change our mentality if you want to be really recognized, or else they'll be talking about themselves all the time.
I totally agree. Collective effort, yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll have to end it there. But before we just wrap this up, let me read what Mikel Obi's response to Jeremy is. He says, the Africa Cup of Nations is as big as the Euros, have played in it and won it. It is not his place to discredit the AFCON. He sits there week in, week out, teaching and coaching people on how to win the Premier League, and he never won it. I think there's something all our former players agreed on, is the fact that he never won the Premier League. He never won a major tournament, so he doesn't know what it means. Hence, that disrespect is coming. But Collins, I hope CAF will take this into, I don't know how to put it right now, understand what it means to actually value your tournaments more. Maybe consistency and giving the hype it's needed, the publicity, everything you can think about for us to, to make it. The last one in Côte d'Ivoire was massive. So let's make something like that by making it consistent, so that those who want to put in their money, both the broadcast rights and everything, will know when and where it's taking place on time. And of course, we'll have a better tournament.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's a wake-up call for CAF, because as much as we didn't like what Jamie Carragher said, there are pointers that that comes out truthfully, because the consistency is something that really matters. Look at the AFCON. We didn't even know when it's going to be played. Other tournaments like Under-20, you don't even know the venue. And yet in Europe, they know a tournament even 2 years before. So what is our problem? So we have to harness all these things, and we have to let that FIFA must know that also our planning must be put into effect. Because if you will be waiting for FIFA to come and make judgments for us, what will we be doing? Because I don't remember this happening, but in the past 4 years, FIFA has been basically telling us what to do in terms of dates. Like right now, if you look at the FIFA Club World Cup, it's what has made the AFCON to be pushed. So it means they clearly put their tournaments ahead of us. So the CAF Secretariat and the President, they have to be consistent and be firm on this particular matter, because if we don't do that, we'll never be respected as much as we say AFCON is big.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Collins Okenyo, for finding out time to join us on this conversation tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We go on a short break. When we come back, of course, the NWFL will get our attention. All the ladies scoring a hat-trick on match day 7. Welcome back. I know you guys will actually love us to continue talking about AFCON, but then we'll keep it aside. We'll rest it for now, and when it's closer, we will resurrect this issue once more. Well, let's talk about table tennis. Aruna Quadri, when we were producing this program, my producer actually, he wrote a headline, Aruna Quadri retains his title. And I looked at him like, he's still on. He's still on at that time, because it was a tight, highly contested game for both players, Omar Assar and of course Aruna Quadri. But then Omar Assar went on to win 4-3. That's how keenly contested it was between these players. Boy, we have a new champion, Omar Assar. He's the champion, dethroning Aruna Quadri. So Aruna Quadri could not win it. But the thing is, by the virtue of the fact they got to the semi-finals, so we have the 4 players that will be representing, Africa in Macau later. It's just this month. Later this month, March or April. I think it's in April or something. It's in April, so that's when the Macau tournament will take place at the World ITTF Championship. Austin, were you surprised by that result?
Not exactly.
Were you one of those that were rooting for Aruna to win?
Yeah, it's always good when you have an opportunity to retain your title and you do just that. But with the rivalry that Aruna Quadri and Omar Assar have shared over the years, when they're both meeting themselves, it can go anywhere, And I love the fact that Aruna Quadri is still playing the same sort of table tennis that I've known him with in the last, let's say, 10 years. He's been unfortunate every now and then, but when you expect him to perform, I think he still does just that. And nobody will, doubt his prominence, his relevance, his superiority in Africa table tennis. So shout out to Aruna Quadri. And as you mentioned, the big deal is qualifying for the World Cup, and it's just another reminder to us that, look, with everything Aaron Quadri seems to be doing, we need to do more in terms of developing new table tennis players. I think he did a good shift. And with qualifying for the World Cup, it means he has kept his relevance. We'll keep talking about him. I was particularly looking forward to Fatima Bello because she's somebody that I think can get us talking after Funke Oshanaike, and now Edem of Young has retired. So I'm looking forward for the next woman that will get us talking about table tennis in Africa. And I think she did just that by booking a place also. So next up for us is to see what they do at the World Cup. But table tennis needs to show more workings. Table tennis needs to put in more investment, put in more time, put in more attention. Aaron Okwari has talked about this thing over and over and over again. The guy is single-handedly doing everything for himself. You know, the country needs to step him down so that Aaron Quadri can now say, okay, maybe it's Marty Taiwo or Olajide or Motayo or Emmanuel Augustine. I've seen somebody that I'm going to now, you know, act as a mentor, give my crown to them, and let there be some level of continuity with what Aaron Quadri has done for the development of table tennis in Nigeria. So shout out to him for even making it to the round that he did, and competing against Omar Asai again is really good for his career, Cecilia.
Definitely. I mean, were you surprised by that result? No, Omar Asai dethroning Aaron Quadri. Of course, Koda, I mean, that young, talented girl. I mean, Dina Meshev, I think her dominance is actually over. I mean, 7 times in a row, and then you have one tiny girl, also from Egypt. I mean, she's the talk of the town right now.
The tiny girl is a giant. Girl is a giant.
I saw her 2 years ago in Lagos.
In Lagos, we were here together. I was going to remind you, we were here together. And she won as well.
She won
as well. So, for Aruna and Masha, I wasn't surprised. I was rooting for Aruna Quadri. But, of course, when these two play, you know it's 50-50. At the end of the day, you just have to enjoy watching the two of them. They are legends of the game in Africa. They've done their best for the continent. I think the biggest worry I have for Nigerian table tennis is that we do not have people coming through the ranks at this level.
Oh, Matthew Kuti was there. I mean, Omota Olajide and the others.
Omota Olajide, yes.
We don't have the numbers, right?
We don't have the numbers and the consistency. Okay. And, I mean, you cannot describe Omota Olajide as a youngster anymore. You can't.
But Matthew Kuti
is relatively young. Omota Olajide is not a youngster.
So we have one, maybe we can have 6 or 7.
That's what I would have expected that by now we should have a pool coming through. They all might not be at the same level, but at least a pool, not 1 or 2 here and there. Yeah,
and then we have to develop at club level too. That will be important. All right, let's take a look at NWFL. I'm going to go through all the games that were played on Wednesday. The first stanza is over. The league will be going on a 3-week break. After that, during the break, clubs can decide to, get players and boost their teams. Clubs like, the clubs I'm talking about, like Confluence Queens, the Winless Queens, and of course you also have the Benue Queens also. They can see how they can beef up the stars to start winning. And Heartland, of course, recorded their first win of the season against Winless, of course, Confluence Queens, 3-0. Edo Queens beating Ekiti Queens by 3-0 also. Remo Stars ladies, Kafaya scored a hat-trick in this one to beat Natural Amazons 4-0. This game we thought was going to be a goal first, but not one-sided as this. But that's what happened in this one. And of course, Abia Angels came to Lagos to beat Dana's ladies. It was Mary Lucky. How lucky was she in Lagos to completely score? She scored a hat-trick, and of course, that's how Dana's ladies lost at home. They've had 1 win so far this season. All right, let's take a look at Group B, match day 7. Rivers Angels were rampant over Adamawa Queens. Of course, you have another Mary Moses scoring a hat-trick in this one to get Rivers, running over Adamawa Queens. Niger Rattlers and Benue Queens, of course, Benue Queens remain winless. Niger Rattlers winning by a lone goal. Robo Queens also losing in Lagos. It was Bayelsa Queens that had all 3 goals scored. Robo Queens, the goal that they scored was from the penalty spot. Delta Queens, of course, won the winners over Ibom Angels. So this is what it looks like. Maybe we can take a look at the table first before we analyze some of these games. We have 4 of them. Remo Stars ladies still leading, goal difference of 14. They're yet to lose of course, just one draw against Edo Queens, who are second on 17 points, and they won 6 matches. Edo Queens have won 5. They've had 2 draws so far. Abia Angels, by virtue of that resounding victory in Lagos, they moved to 3rd after 7 games, 4 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. One of them was against Edo Queens, that 5-1 loss in Benin City. They've lost to, of course, a goal difference of 3 and 13. And Natural Amazons are 4th. And of course, they have 12 points. They won 4 matches, losing 3. Of course, Confluence Queens yet to win all 7 games, all losses. And of course, they've conceded more goals than any other team, minus 15. And of course, there's definitely no points for them. And then Group B, Rivers Angels are topping this by virtue of the numbers of goals that they scored. Remember, it was Bayelsa Queens that were topping this before, based on goal difference. But right now, Rivers Angels, by those goals they scored against Adamawa, they moved up to top of the table at the end of the first stanza of 17 points. Bayelsa also on 17 points, goal difference. That's why they are here. They've won same numbers of games and, of course, same numbers of draws, but they are also yet to lose a game. Delta Queens, by virtue of that one victory over Benue Queens, they moved up to 3rd, 7 games, 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses, goal difference 1, and of course they're on 10 points. Then you have Niger Rotters, who have won just 2 games this season. Of course, Benue Queens winless, the goals they've conceded minus 16, just like you have the other team, Confluence Queens, minus 15. And then there you have it. 7 games winless in all of them. So, Austin, we're going to start up with this one. The games in Lagos, Danas Ladies and Abia Angels. We did not see that coming at all.
No, we didn't, but Danas Ladies, shout out to them. I think they've been punching above their weight. And, when you do that, sometimes you might just fizzle out. And for Abia Angels, they really needed this win like never before. And that win did something good for them on that Group A table. But I didn't expect Danas Ladies to lose it the way they did. I think 4-1 doesn't really reflect the quality that they've shown us so far in the league. But as I said, it did something good for Abia Warriors because it pushed them to 3rd on that Group A table, and now they have 13 points, and that's their 4th win. So, Cecilia, it tells you that the league is competitive. We see teams now go away and they win. I think the men's game should monitor what these women seem to be doing and learn from it. So I think that was the pick for me from Group A with what they did in Lagos. It shows that, look, Danas Ladies also will go back and check, where did we lose it against Abia Angels. This is a team that held, I think, Rivers Angels. This is a team that also did good against Remo Stars Ladies. So losing this way goes to show that they're probably tired, or Abia Angels really needed that win and they got it. Another big one was Rivers Angels beating Adamawa Queens. I think Rivers Angels needed to distance themselves, because if you check that Group B table, there's drama going on there now. I think even with that big win, they are still tied on 17 points with Bayelsa Queens. And I think 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they share 10 points each. So it goes to tell you that we're going to see a lot of drama from that one. Big game also. Cecilia, but let's listen to some of the talking points from Danas Ladies versus Abia Angels before we get into that. I really want to talk about, which is Bayelsa Queens versus FC Robo Queens.
Very fantastic player. Every day, anytime I'm sleeping, the same Lucky Mary, I know what she can be able to do. That's why I stick on my neck and said she is good. Anybody that asks me about Lucky Mary, I always tell them she is good. She only needs some little tactical mindset for her to be able to get what she really wants. And if you watch every day of every game, she always improve on her tactical aspects and her techniques. Even when I was in Heartland, we don't go for break. We only just give them 2 days just to bring out their nerves and everything, just free themselves. Then we'll continue, because the break is not much. It's 2 weeks, but the 2 weeks is nothing compared to how we started. So we don't want to bring ourselves down. We want to continue the momentum. The marathon is still on the way.
Though it wasn't that easy, but I must say I give God all the glory. Yeah, I must say 25, because that's been my target for this season. I really want to go further, and not just the national team. See myself outside this country.
Every coach, every chairman would like to be in my shoes today, would like to win. That's what we're working for, what we're praying for, all the hard work today. has to be kept up inside the pitch. And I'm happy that today the girls find their scoring boots and they played extremely well. I have a very big trust in God, and I believe on the ability that they will always play far better than even what they displayed today. What has been a very big snag on us is at times umpires and officiating, but today we had a very good fair officiating, because what matters is hard work. When you give them hard work, when they keep on training, provide the facilities and the ability, they will always progress. And I thank God that I come from a state that appreciates so much. Her Excellency will be so proud of this team today. He said he will be so proud of this team today. So this is what I'll be craving for. And I thank God from on stage, the first match we lost, it will be 5-0 to Edo Queens. And today, those things have been put behind us. We are moving forward, backward never. And this team is progressing.
Just won the FA Cup on Sunday, and then this is another game for us. We expect more. We expected to win this game, but you can see at the element of the game, we lost concentration at the first line, which give us the total loss of the concentration for the game. From the beginning, Dana's Lady is a team of developmental. As you can see, we parade the youngest players in the league, and then there's no doubt in that we should expect this, and I want to just encourage the player to do more. And then we go back to the drawing board and do the best thing for them. The way they play, the way they communicate, the way they attack, the way they defend, and all those sort of things, we just need to go back to them and do the right thing for them. They are still young guys. I don't discourage them. We just need to talk to them, encourage them. They can do it. Their career, as you can see, they are ready to play. But when the ball comes, nothing you can do about that.
Contrasting fortunes there in the NWFL, that game between Dana's Ladies and Abia Angels. And you could tell Damilola now. By the way, I like what the coach of Dana's Ladies said. You know, he took it so well. The game is fair play. He said they will go back, see how they can get better. That is a young team. But Damilola, you see now that officiating went well. The chairman said, everything was fine for an away game. But shout out to Coach Adana. You know, she gave, praises to Mary Lucky, who wasn't lucky. She was so clinical on the day. You know, I think she's a fantastic player. But Damilola, good football around from the ladies in the NWFL.
Yeah, good football from the ladies. Fantastic display all around. The only thing I want to mention from what Coach Fatai Bashir said is that at this level, when you play in the top league, I think there is a need for a mindset shift. This idea of referencing a professional side as developmental. Sometimes there is a conflict of communication there. I mean, at this level, you are not developing. You are playing professional football. You are not an academy. And I think that, yes, the team might be young, but it does not necessarily mean that it's a developmental something. I think it's a mindset that I hear that a lot from our coaches and administrators. I think it's a mindset we need to shift away from. At the level of professional football, you cannot be referencing. Yes, you lost on the day. You met a better side. Probably a bit of fatigue because they played the FA Cup over the weekend, like you said. But I think it is what it is. They are not having a poor season.
Is this same fatigue? We're saying Bayelsa Queens, quickly Bayelsa Queens and of course FC Robo Queens.
That was a shocker, really. That was a shocker. I didn't expect that at all. Maybe I wouldn't have put a bet on Dana's winning, but FC Robo losing that heavily was quite a shock for me.
It wasn't what we expected. So let's get reaction from that game also.
Yeah, I would say I'm very, very impressed with the performance of the team today because coming to Lagos and getting 3 points at stake from a team like Robo, we are one of the champions of the NWFL. I think this is a good one for us. CAF qualification, that's our target, and I think we are getting there closer. I don't see the possibility of me signing player because I think I have what it takes to take me to CAF for now. I think this remaining 3 months now before the league kicks off on 19th of March, I think we need to ensure that we raise our game. We've played all the complete first round without going unbeaten. So we are going to set a target for ourselves. That target for ourselves is to go 5 matches, second round unbeaten. Then after that, we can raise the target again for ourselves. The challenges that are hindering the growth of the female football in Nigeria, just like you rightly said, I think sponsorship has to do with it, and good playing surfaces, because most of the clubs don't have a good playing ground, and when you go to those playing grounds, it becomes a problem for you to play good football. I think so. Those are some of the things I think that are affecting the growth of female football in Nigeria. The way to address this issue I've raised now is for the NWFA to have a sponsor for the team, and after having that sponsor for the team as a team that can be sponsoring the NWFA, I think the clubs on their own need to go all out to get sponsorship for their own self, because most private teams don't have that finance to be able to finance the clubs, apart from the government teams that you can see. So we, by the time we're able to get sponsorship from for the private teams, I think it will go a long way in making the league more stronger, and the growth of the football in Nigeria will grow.
We lost the experience side. It's like that. Because most of my guests, we are metamorphosing, and we are trying to build a good team that will represent the state. So in this process, there are some matches like this. If you watch the game very well, we are supposed to score good goals. But unfortunately, they are not matured enough to be able to utilize it. So I'm not blaming them. I only encourage them. They are under process. The finance, because these guys, most of them are breadwinners. And you see, that is why you see government take dominance. It's very difficult for an individual club to come up. You can see the kind of players. I can't buy player. I need to wait. Maybe by next year now, the girl will start beating everybody. But I need to wait. Now I'm going through it, spending my money and losing. You understand? So it's a process. Finance is the problem, the main problem, because you can say a team like Bayelsa, they have 30 players and 11 will play. The rest are just there because they are paying them. The girls now are not thinking of playing time anymore. They are thinking of where they can make money. So that finance is eating deep. And that finance is what is influencing the officiating. That finance is influencing a lot of things. Apart from stadiums that government are not able to provide good stadiums like that, you can imagine Onikon Stadium being used by almost 30 Premiership teams and playing by one, they're not playing by three, like that. But in some other states, they have availability of opportunities to play. But like in Lagos State, we don't have much opportunity. I'm not complaining, but I'm just saying generally, the problem is finance. Because with finance, a lot of problem will be addressed.
When after the first stanza is over, so when we are starting second stanza, we'll dwell more on what they actually said, because there's no time for these guys to react. He's been smiling. I know Austin is. I don't know what Austin is thinking right now. Well, quickly, let's take a look at MPFL. Games that were decided on Wednesday and also the ones that played earlier today. So starting off with Enyimba and Shooting Stars. When Remo Stars lost, we thought Shooting Stars would close the gap more, but they were able to share a point with Enyimba. But this is a good victory, a good one for them. Rivers and Sunshine Rangers and Sunshine. Rangers winning by 3-0. Kwara United and Abia Warriors ended goalless. Nasarawa United, of course, Remo Stars, the high-flying Remo Stars, stumble here at in Lafia. Let's look at other results. Plateau United and Bayelsa. Plateau winning by lone goal. Heartland and Economy ended goalless. And Lobby Stars lost at home to Niger Tornadoes. Like Lobby Stars are destined to actually go on relegation this season. Kano Pillars beating Aqua United by a lone goal. And of course, this is what the table is looking like. You have 51-42. They've closed the gap a little bit here after that draw at Enyimba. Goal difference of 15. And of course, they are flying high. They've lost 7 this season, drawing 3. And of course, for Shooting Stars, it's 8 losses. And of course, a second after 26 games, 12 wins they had. Remo Stars had 16 wins so far this season. Rangers, of course, 11 wins after 26 matches. They are on 41 points. And of course, you have Abia Warriors on 40 points. So these 3 are chasing Remo Stars. Of course, the bottom 4, Lobby Stars digging the oil, 23 points after 26 games. You have Sunshine Stars on 26 games. They have on 28 points. They've won 8 this season, losing 14. And of course, you have Aqua United also losing 14. And of course, the draws they've had, Nasarawa United, they are 3rd from bottom. So this is what it looks like. So Austin, I know we need to wrap up and leave the studio.
But the Nigeria Premier Football League, I like all of the stories. By the way, shout out to Niger Tornadoes for going away to Bauchi to beat Lobby Stars 2-0, arguably the biggest win from March the 26th. And that's their 4th away win of the season. Now, that's one team that people are talking about because it's not Remo Stars or Rangers or Shooting Stars or any of the teams in the top 4. But I think they've really been decent, started the season so well. Their first 4 matches, they went unbeaten. In fact, their first win was an away win. Second win, they went away, picked a draw. Third win, away win. Fourth win, a draw. So that's a good team. I also want to give them, the Econ Ala boys, give them their respect on the show tonight. That's it. In London, I'm Austin Okonakman. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Damilola, it was nice doing this with you again.
Pleasure being here. And let me close by commending the two management of our league. It's exciting talking about Nigerian leagues now, both men and women. And I think we can only hope that we keep growing from here.
And to get the respect it deserves, right?
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for watching ECOWAS Marathon. We'll talk about that on Friday. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a good night rest.